Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. We're going to do another experiment today. Before we get to my experiment, and I'll tell you what that is in a moment, in my, I think it was my last video, I had done some pieces using the new molds I'd gotten from Temu. And this is one of the pieces I had done with the polyurethane from Alumilite. And I overfilled this piece quite substantially. Those molds they're not very deep and they're very intricate. And I had shown you this one. I did another one where I used a lot less. I still overpoured it a little bit, but not near as bad. And this is how the piece is supposed to look. I did need to take my X-Acto knife and go into some of the spots to clear it out in between some of the pieces, but it is looking much better now. And when I was doing it, I actually had to use a popsicle stick to pull some of the polyurethane off once again because I had overpoured it. I love intricate pieces. It's getting it so that you're not overpouring them and having to do extra work with them. I have to get much better at that, and I'm not always sure of the depth of some of the finer, more intricate molds, and I need to get better at that. So I almost think using a two-part epoxy would definitely be a benefit, and potentially using a pipette or something that I have more control over when I'm pouring the resin into the pieces. But I wanted to show you this. I'd had some leftover polyurethane for something else I had been doing, and I thought, well, let's do it and let's see how it looks. So this versus this. So I just thought I'd show you that. What are we going to be doing? Well, I had wondered what would happen if I were to use the sanded off product of mixed to mold, Jdiction, whatever I had. So I've had some pieces that I've been sanding down recently, and I've been saving up what I've sanded off. Now, I have approximately 57 grams of a mix of, like the products that are in here, it's probably a combination of the Jdiction, the Alumilite, and the mixed to mold. So it's a smorgasbord of leftover sanded off product. And today I took one of my mixing sticks and I just kind of broke down, because as much as I had left this in a room where my dehumidifier is to take the water out of the air, it's still a little clumpy. I mean, it's not perfect, and that's okay. Basically, the purpose of this is to see whether or not it's worthwhile, or whether you can use what you've sanded off your mixed to mold pieces. And I'm just going to, or you know what, I'm going to call it ceramic resin. Whatever you've sanded off a ceramic resin piece, whether we can still use it or not. And I want to test it out. I want to see if it'll work. I want to see, it may not, well, you know, I think to myself, I wonder if it'll still be strong enough like the original product, but maybe not. It's not like I take these pieces that I make and, you know, drop them on the floor and see what happens. I mean, that's never my intention, and I won't do it with this piece either. But I just want to know if it will harden up the same way, how it will take color. And I've got 3 colors. I'm going to be using the Jdiction Resin Creep pigments, yellow, purple, and deep green. I'm also going to be using this mold, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I definitely have. Halloween apparently is just around the corner, and everyone's coming out with some of their products now for Halloween. So I thought, well, let's make a skull then. And this is it's a sort of a deep, that's probably about a ½ an inch thick. I got a really nice pattern on it. Let me get my black piece of paper out here. Maybe that helps you to see it better. Anyway, I just wanted a random piece, and I thought, let's do something that doesn't have a lot of intricate, you know, pieces to it. Let's just get something that's simple, that we can just pour it in. After an hour, we can whip it out and see how it looks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this all up first, and then I'm going to sort it into 2 containers. I'm going to make one yellow, one purple, and then my sort of thought process is potentially pour one color into another and add a little bit of black as I'm doing that, just to get something sort of funky Halloweenish. Again, this isn't so much about having a pretty piece at the end. This is about what's going to happen. Is this something that I can do moving forward, even if it's to, again, make test pieces just because I've got an idea of, flying through my head, and let's see how it works. So let's just mix up. I do have additional water to the side if I need it. I always do. And I've sort of figured that I'm needing 18 grams to the 57. I know it's a little bit more, but I'm okay with that. And, I'm going to let this sit for an hour anyway, because I don't know the sort of potential of the mix of different product I have in here. So let's just add this in. Again, as I say, I've got some more. Now that's definitely not doing it. So we'll just get my big container here. That definitely didn't do it, which kind of surprises me. So let's mix this up. That's a little bit better. And see, it already had water in it, so I don't know. Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how this works out. So right now, this is what it looks like, which is almost like a cake batter. So we'll mix it up a bit more, and then we'll add some water. And it's actually a kind of a interesting olive green. Actually, as I look at this color, I need to make the color sage for another project. And this would actually probably work out pretty darn good. That's funny. I was thinking, how am I going to make sage? And I'm thinking, because I want to make sage using resin. And that's funny. That is too funny. Okay, so it's getting a little more liquidy. But I think I want some more in it too, because I don't want it to start hardening up too far in advance. So oops, that might be too much, but that's okay. So I've definitely added more than what I figured was my allotted amount needed. Either that or my math was totally out to lunch, so I can accept if it was. As I say, math is not my strong suit. It doesn't need to be. There are other people in the world who are very good at math, and I can just go to them. Mr. Calculator is one of them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour some of this into this container. And then I'm probably going to add a little bit more water. And I don't even know if this will be enough to give a really good base on this, but it's what I'm using anyway. And we may again, I may have to still add some more water, but that's okay. Okay. Now let's mix this up. And it's probably going to give it a really interesting color. This is going more green. Okay, use this in here. And I did a piece of the Illuminite I had, and I used their black and the Illuminite black pigment, and it came out really cool. It's not far from me here, so I'll show you that at the end. Hopefully I don't forget about that. Okay, I'm going to add just a little bit more water to these two. So I'm sort of thinking that more water is going to be needed if you're doing this. Again, if it has to sit longer, it has to sit longer. That's not a big deal. Okay, I think I am going to mix one into the other just because, I mean, you think Halloween, you think ghoulish, you think interesting colors. So why not? Why not indeed? That down to the side. I'm just going to put a couple of drops of this dark green, or deep green, I think is what they called it. Oops. And then I'm going to swirl the purple in here. Hopefully you can see. And then we're going to see what we get. Could be interesting. Could be interesting. Could be a total flop too. We just don't know at this point. So take that and put it there. Put that up there so you can see it. And let's just pour this in here and see what we get. It'd be neat if it, yeah, it covers it, which it's going to. Yay! I'm glad about that. We know the other side's going to be the bottom, so it really doesn't matter how this looks. And I'm just curious if anyone has tried this already. Comment below how you found this worked. If you haven't, have you thought about it? With there being, well, I've done a lot of sanding, and I thought, well, and I'm not 100% sure if someone asked about that, but I figured I'm going to save it up and see what I can do with it. I mean, it's no different really than saving up resin, that you've done a piece and now you've got some leftover resin and you just keep building with it. So it's the same idea. And I keep forgetting my Lazy Susan. Isn't that, well, it's not terrible. I just keep forgetting about it. I should have a sign up on my board here in front of me that says, okay, you're doing this, do this, go get it. I love the, you know, as much as I do kind of like the coloring. All right, so there we have it, the pieces together as such. Now we just have to, fingers crossed, this actually sets. I mean, that's going to be the first trick, but I don't know why it wouldn't. You know, it's not like it's not like I've done anything to the product. So I'd like to think that it will set up. Aside from there being color in it, it's not like anything else has been added to it. But I guess we're going to find out, and I'm going to let it sit for an hour and come back and we'll check it out in an hour and see if it's set up or if it hasn't. But I have to admit, I love the fact that the color originally wasn't pure white, which is kind of interesting because it gives you a little bit more play as far as what colors you can come up with. So that's something to keep in mind. I will be back in about an hour. You will be back much quicker than that. See you soon. Okay, I'm not sure how long I've been gone for. It's definitely for me been over an hour. Now, I don't know if you can see very well, but this isn't setting any, but there seems to be quite a bit of water on the top of this. So what I'm wondering, I'm not willing to throw the towel in just yet on this. What I want to do, and I don't know how good of an idea this is or how bad of an idea it is, but I just want to see if I can soak up some of this. And it could be the fact that I put way too much water in this, right? So I don't know. Let's see what I can do here. Like maybe it just needs to have some of the water taken up from it. Like it's not that it hasn't done anything. I think it has done. But for whatever reason, unlike normal, there's water definitely sitting on the top of this. So I'm just going to see if I can't get some of this out without making a total mess or a disaster or whatnot. I got to find something I can put this into easily. I know what I can use. Oh, one of my tinfoil things. Plates. Actually looks kind of cool that way, doesn't it? Oh, the fun you have when you experiment. So let's just soak this, because it may be, you know, I'm not willing to give up on it yet. But it's simply, it may just be a matter of I put too much water in it, because I know I definitely went over. what you'd normally put in for the amount I made. It's actually looking kind of cool like this. Okay, let's soak some more of this up. I always like when you have paper towels that soak up really well. It's a good thing, isn't it? I'd love to throw a sheet of this like right into it, but I think I'm gonna end up taking too much out of it. So I think I've got a fair chunk of that water off of it. I'm just gonna go around these edges a little bit. It is really cool. I'm so glad I'm able to soak it up without too much effort, which is great, because I'm thinking even if I had to get rid of it, it's like, okay, so I'm going to need the right container and I'm going to have to be really careful when I try and pour this out. But maybe this will be just what it needs to you know, come out okay. Still set up, which is nice. Better that the water's on top than it's, you know, sitting on the bottom, because then what? Then what? Yeah, I was almost going to just try pulling this water off without showing you, but that wouldn't have been fair. Now, I think the other thing I'm going to is I make a divot in his head. That's the beauty. It hasn't set, right? So I can motion it around. So what I'm curious about, I wonder if, I was thinking if I put a little bit of heat from my heat gun on it, my heat gun, if that might help it a little bit with the drying process. But I don't know that I want to do that, because I don't really want to be blowing it around, because that's not helpful either, right? But I have to admit, I mean, if nothing else, I like what I'm getting from a design perspective on this. I just think it'd be really cool if it actually set up. But again, it may not, right? So it may be one of those things that because you can't do anything with it after it's already set, even though you're working with a powder. And two, depending on how much water technically was still left in the product. Yeah, hard to say. Hard to say. Anyway, I'm going to take note of what time it is here now. And I'm going to come back. I'll come back in another hour and we'll check and see how it's doing and if it's managed to set. Now, this cup here, the other one was one of my plastic silicone mugs, so I clean that out. But this in here that's in the cup, I mean, that is set. Now granted, okay, we're talking, you know, apples and oranges here because of how much was in here, but I mean, well, it is still a bit damp. Okay, putting my finger in, I can get some of it on my hand. So let's leave it. This might be an overnight. This might be this was a didn't work experiment, but I'm not willing to give it up just yet. Hopefully taking some of that water off the top of it will make a difference in the grand scheme of things. And maybe there's another use for this stuff if I save it in the future. I have no idea what that might be. Yeah. So we're getting down. I sort of did that for two reasons. That we're getting down into the material itself now. So let's leave it. I'll mark my time down. I'll come back in another hour. And yeah, I think if nothing else, I'm loving the design in the back of this. Loving it. Anyway, I'll be back. Another hour has gone by. As you can see, we've had more water rise to the top. Some of you may be absolutely not surprised at that. I have to admit, I am a little bit surprised that it's still drawing water up to the top, which again tells me that this is not something that's going to work. We're going to pull out some more of that water, because obviously it's going to do absolutely no good having water in it because it's not going to set. What I'm going to do now is I am going to put this on something, and I am going to go put it in the room where my dehumidifier is and see if that doesn't somehow help with the process of drying this out. Again, it may be futile. I am still not willing to just give up. I probably won't do this again. And the only other thing I can think of if I were to do this again is almost treat it like a clay, if you will, and see if I can't, get it damp as I can and then put it into something semi-damp, I guess is what I would say. But yeah, it's curious in some ways that it's drawing so much of the water to the top. And it's not like I put a ton of colorant in it, because I didn't do that. And I don't know if potentially the colorant that was in it is causing me issues as well. I can't say that for sure. Could be. So we'll give it one last ditch effort, and yeah, I'll leave it probably for a couple hours now. So here's a piece that I had hoped would be done in an hour, but isn't. Is it setting up at all? Hard to tell. I mean, it's still pliable for sure. Anyway, I'm gonna go put this with my dehumidifier and see if it can't suck some of that water out of it. Hey everyone, I am back. I can honestly say this is an epic fail, and I'm okay with that. It's still loose. What I did was I had put it in the room where my dehumidifier is. It really wasn't doing anything there. I decided I would take it out and put it outside because it's a beautiful, sunny, warm, windy day outside, and it actually ended up cracking the piece. This did not set. As much as I'd kind of thought this would be fun if it set, I mean, it's still wet, and as you can see, it's fallen apart. Now, maybe some people are thinking, well, what'd you expect? It's a product that's already been used, and good luck kind of idea. I'm just going to pat this down to soak up any additional water before I try and pull any of it out. I've got my gloves on, obviously, because I don't want my hands getting all messed up. To me, it was a worthwhile experiment to see, could you reuse it? Even though it's been used in pieces, why not? Why not give it a try? Oh, and that's kind of cool. Nothing else, you can do something like that. But for me, it was a worthwhile experiment just to get a sense of whether or not you could. And obviously it hasn't worked, and some of you, as I say, may have, figured that out, or you've tried it and you knew what the result's going to be. But for someone else who, has wondered about it, I would definitely say, and I won't moving forward hold on to any of this stuff. I am just going to sand my pieces down and then get rid of the stuff. But I am kind of liking that. Now the total failure might be kind of cool when that dries out. I might keep a couple of these just because I can. And I just want to put these over here. So yeah, it was an epic fail. Totally an epic fail. But a kind of cool epic fail. Tried different things. Nothing worked. And I'm going to have to obviously do a really, really good job cleaning up my mold once I get all this stuff out of here, because my mold will have gotten pretty gunky. So let's just see what, yeah, it's, well, you know what? Let's just do this. I feel like a little kid right now. I'm going to have to yeah, you know what I mean, clean this out. But, yeah, it's more like a clay than anything else right now. And it's still got a lot of moisture in there. But, you know, you don't know if you don't attempt it and see what you can do. So I'm going to scrape the rest of this out. I'm going to give my mold a really, really good bath because I am going to have crevices to get this out of. So that might not have been my best laid plan, but again, there's a plan nonetheless. And I'm kind of curious, actually, you know what I might do is, as much as this didn't work out, just in trying to scrape this stuff out of here. And you're going, oh, I'm really glad this is you, Natalie, and not me that's doing this. I'm just wondering, once I get this out, and again, it's, you know, another one of those, do I dare, is to pour, so I kind of get some of the coloring of this, some mixed mold over top of this, just some white stuff, and whether or not it in itself would be strong enough to pick it up for one and set it, which, you know, it may not, that may not work at all, but I'm kind of liking the coloring on this. So maybe what I might do is clean this up. I'm just making a colossal mess. But isn't all that part of the joy of art and being okay with that? I'm going to get a better, maybe. Yeah, so I mean, it was trying to dry it up. It was trying to dry it up. Let's just pull this off. And I mean, this is, yeah, maybe at some point it would finally, but you can definitely see there's a lot of water in this still. But yeah, I'm kind of tempted to scrape this out and then pour some just plain old mixed mold. Oh, actually, I know, you're probably going, are you out of your mind, girl? What are you thinking? If nothing else, you're getting a good laugh out of this video. That's all I can say. It's well worth the entertainment. And it's not costing you, except for your time, to sit and watch this. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to just put this back into place. Get some of it out. And you're probably thinking, why would you waste your time and product on this? I don't know. I feel the need to do it. So once I get this cleaned out, I am going to get some. And I guess I'm kind of hoping it'll help clean this piece up too. It might help with the cleaning process. Might not, but it might. We can, it might help with the cleaning process if I put it. And then maybe what I'm going to do is just leave the rest of this to sit and, sit and see how long it actually takes it to like really dry out. But yeah, like I say, it was an interesting project, test, experiment that went totally awry. but I'm okay with that. It's not like I had, like, really, if you think about it, the only product I pretty much wasted was the pigments that I put into this. Otherwise, it hasn't cost me anything. And what I might do as well is just, I was going to say dry this up, but that might not be a good idea. If I were to dry it up a little bit, but I figure the mix to mold's going to be wet anyway. So I might just leave it so it can pick it up. Oh, and I'm getting it all over the place. Look at me go. So let's do that. We will mix up some mix to mold, and we will pour it in and see if it will, I mean, it looks damp now, but it's not bad. So that's what we've got right now. So I'm going to mix up some white. I might put some of the dark green in it, just because. And we will see if it will pick it up. So let me just put that there. I'm going to have to go off camera. But yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a clay now, which is kind of cool in and of itself. I don't have anything. I don't have a mold that I don't care about, but yeah, it's almost like a clay now. Anyway, okay. I am going to clean my hands up and get these gloves off. I am going to again step away. I'm going to put some mix to mold together. Not a lot. That was 60, so maybe I'll do about 50 of it. And we will let it set up and see if once it's set up, how it all comes together, if it comes together, or if I'm still left with a mess, which is fine. And then I will officially then give this up, and that'll be it for this experiment. Alrighty, be back in a bit. Again, I didn't get back to this the same day. This is the next day. We're going to take this out. We're going to see what's happened to it. Regardless, I think I'm going to have to clean my mold very, very well before I use it for anything else. I knew with the new product that I'd put in that it was starting to set. So the big question is going to be, did it pull up anything that was left in the bottom of this or not? Which would have been kind of cool if it did, but I don't know. I don't know. It was one of those test pieces that, well, just went on its own merry little way. All right. So let's just, yeah. Okay, so here we are. It did pull up some of the product that was in the bottom of this, which is kind of helpful to me from a cleaning out kind of perspective. I still have a lot of cleaning. I'm going to have to clean this out really well. But at least it did pick up. So I guess putting the new product in allowed the new product to kind of soak into the old and then pull it up. Now it is fragile from, I'm just going to, let me see, give me one of my soft brushes. Let's see. You people are going to get to see me work a little bit left-handed, and I'm not. But let's just, if we brush off, this would be one of those pieces you'd want to seal with a spray, I think, which I might do because it looks kind of cool. Even though I went through so much to get to this point, but I would either carefully, and I can see I'm taking some of it off just by using this brush. I feel like this is a find from millions of years ago. It's like, be very gentle with it. And I was wondering about using one of my spray cans to just kind of get some of these lingering pieces off. But I definitely spray this. I wouldn't want to coat it with a brush, just because it is so fragile. But it did, at least it pulled some of it up, so I'm pleased about that. But yeah, this obviously, some of you may have already known the answer to don't ever do this kind of idea, but it was a cool little test to do. And once we just got rid of the majority of it and just had a really fine base, at least the new stuff picked it up. I kind of wondered about that. As I was letting it dry, that was one thing that went through my head. How cool would it be if you could put this down and have it and use it somehow? And I'll probably let this sit, and I will let it sit here in my room and just sort of air dry on its own, because it's probably still a little damp, this part of it anyway. But yeah, so a complete flop, sort of, but at least I was able to preserve some of it, a very, very shallow part of it. And then this is my dried paper towel now. I still think that looks really cool. And as far as the stuff I threw out, what happened to it? Well, let me just see. I'm just going to pick through my garbage just for sake of argument of doing that. Pull out a piece. It is still moist. It's setting up. Let me just get that out of the way. But it's still moist. But an interesting project. I kind of like doing this. I like doing stuff like this because it's another way of knowing for sure whether something's going to work. So yeah, I'll just for the sake of having said I did it, I'll probably see about spraying that. And I don't know how I'm going to use it, but that doesn't really matter. So, can you reuse the mixed mold or whatever that ceramic resin product is once you've sanded off of something? No, you can't. You don't want to, unless you can find another way of preserving it. I won't be doing this again. Any more sanding I do, the rest of the sanding, it'll just go in the garbage. Anyway, I hope you, if nothing else, found this video a little humorous, because it took me a long time to get to this point versus you just having to watch it. Anyways, comment below, like, subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for taking the time to watch this very interesting and very unique video. I hope you have a great day, whatever you're getting up to. Take care. Bye for now.